Uncle Dr. David experiments with frogs.
That's when I knew that Uncle Dr. David was not really like other people. You see, even from an early age, Uncle Dr. David, he didn't have a real respect for living things. This is why it made him into a very successful pharmaceutical investigator. He created shit that made him a rich man. And let me tell you, in our little town, that meant a lot. I mean, he supported the fire service. He supported the elementary school. Hell, he even boarded a goddamn school bus. But no one went near his house, man. No one went near his house. And there was a paucity of any living thing near that corner of the town, I'll tell you that for shit. You know, I was told this story by his mother. That when he was a kid, he loved to dissect things. Shit! You know, when all the other kids in the class were squeamish about poking around in frogs, he went round every goddamn desk, carving those little green creatures, pulling apart their little legs, sticking his fingers right inside their little bodies. When he got home that day, he heard this story, that if there was a pan of boiling water and you took a frog and you threw that frog into a pan of boiling water, it'd jump out. So guess what Uncle Dr. David did? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he had a whole host of frogs, and he'd throw them into the pan and they'd jump out. Throw them into the pan and they'd jump out. Well, his mom, she didn't take too kindly to that shit. And she scolded him. I don't mean she just gave him a ticking off. I mean, she took his hands and she thrust them so far into the boiling water, he had no fingerprints. He had no palm prints. And he sure as hell as shit wasn't ever gonna be no surgeon. Well, he liked things just right in the town. He wouldn't put up with anything that was amiss with the town. One year, there was a particularly hot summer. And things were going missing. And he kept it all in his archive. And he took a liking to me. And he asked me to keep an eye out. And goddamn, I kept an eye out. Because Uncle Dr. David, he was kind of scary. If you know what I mean. So I kept archives. And then, one day, he bought a brand new bike and he put it in the yard. Well, shit. right to his front door. He never read the fucking newspaper. And he let those papers build up on his porch. And then one day I got a call from Uncle Dr. David. And he said, bring the notebook. So I came. And I walked up to the porch. There's all these papers. And the front door, it's got a pane smashed right through. And the door's open. And I open it. And I step inside. And there's Uncle Dr. David standing at the top of the basement. He says, come on in, son. It's time to take note. And I knew what that meant. Means something that you or I don't ever want to see. So I walked down the stairs, following Uncle Dr. David, his hulking, cruel body, leading me into this basement, and there I see an iron bathtub. And in that tub, there lay a man, and he was naked. And underneath the tub, there were gas butts and burns. And Uncle Dr. David started heating the water. And this poor man, he was tied to the tub. And I started making notes. Make notes, son, he said. You tell me what time he dies. You tell me what happens to his body. You tell me what happens to the water. He seems uncomfortable. I see the water begin to steam at the top. He wriggles. Poor man is sweating. His eyes are staring out. He's trying to find his way through the gag. He cries out. He cries out. And Uncle Dr. David stuffs rags deeper into his mouth. Son, let's see if this frog jumps out. The water boils. I just make note. His skin turns red, begins to blister. He screams and screams, but only the sound of he could barely breathe as the water boiled around his body. I could see the fat of his skin mingling with the boiling water, and eventually the flesh began to peel away, and the blood began to mingle with the boiling water. All of this, I took note. His skin fell away from his face, his tongue all seemed to squeeze past the teeth. All the pieces that were attached seemed to meld into the water. His kneecaps dissolved. His genitals dissolved into this bubbling mass of water. I was desperate. I went through 2 pencils. I kept breaking the goddamn lead. Eventually, there was silence. Only the sound of bubbling in the room. Uncle Dr. David, he turned around to me. He said, looks like the crime wave is over. Uncle Dr. David,